Hi there, sport fans.
All of you are probably familiar with these sponsored radio programs, which are rapidly becoming the highest type entertainment features on broadcasting stations.
As your master of ceremonies, I solemnly swear that we're going to try to make it 60 minutes of real enjoyment for every member of the family.
Welcome to the Undrafted. Boys, we are here. Mine is Colin Zanker Spankers. He'll be here shortly. Apparently
he's taking his sweet time.
Yeah, apparently you don't get good reception on the highway.
It's hard, driving from Boulder. I guess you go through all those backwoods. I don't fucking know. He went to go see his shaman today, so he's feeling real good today.
Yeah, he's feeling real metaphysical.
Was
the giggly little guy.
He was funny.
So
can't wait to see him again.
Let's get right into it.
I'm ready.
As Bronco fans, we all know the big news was Teddy Bridgewater being named the starter. And it was a very dividing topic, not even just amongst us, but nationally. I had my opinions that I had spoken with you guys about I think it was better for Drew to be the starter in terms of long run, but in terms of this season's production, I think it was probably going to be 8 or 9 wins regardless, with a plus or minus of 1 on either side. Okay. And what are you guys' opinion? I mean, does your opinion change of what the season's going to be now that we officially know who is the starter?
Well, I said with Drew Lock, the ceiling is 11-6, floor 6-11, which I felt was best case scenario because if he hits that upside, you have a franchise guy. If he hits that downside, we have a top 10 pick to pick a quarterback next year. But with Teddy, I think it's around 8, 9, 9, and 8. I think that's the ceiling and the floor because people talk about Teddy's floor and ceiling. They are relatively close, unfortunately.
I would have rather seen Drew Lock. I think the potential is there for him. I think the upside is there, but it seems as though Vic Fangio is in his kind of like win now, and he would rather trust somebody who has seen been in this league. He's performed in this league while he has had success in this league and could continue to have success in this league. I think he's really just kind of leaning towards saving his job. And I think this is a stepping stone of saving his job.
I think
if they're,
I was going to just say, I think my biggest problem within Broncos country that I see on social media and through the random people that I speak with that have said this is, why didn't we just draft Justin Fields if we were going to start Teddy Bridgewater? Because I will give them this. I will give them that because they think in their minds, Shermer and Fangio already had it pretty much planned upon bringing in Teddy Bridgewater that he was going to be the starter. And for optics, they gave it a 50-50 kind of spin.
No,
I'll give them that. I won't take that away. I would completely think that's a reasonable thing that they probably went through in their minds, but the idea of just wanting to draft Justin Fields if Teddy Bridgewater was going to be the starter regardless is kind of silly to me because you only start Teddy Bridgewater if you're Fangio and Shermer, to Mason, your point, is to win.
Yeah.
It's solely that. He didn't prove anything in the preseason. He didn't prove anything in the offseason training camp that he was far and beyond better than Drew Lock. But I think anybody with a reasonable mind knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
The thing is just that Teddy was exactly what I thought he was. He didn't impress me, but I wasn't like upset with his performance. I'm like, okay. I said I felt both quarterbacks played well enough to win the job. So I understand why they went with Teddy. Now, I don't think that's the right decision. And if you've looked at his history, it's definitely dicey on how the entire season's going to go. But if we're really banking on those first 3 games, which Fangio has to at least win 2, You cannot lose
Our
more
first
than
two
one.
September wins.
Yeah, he cannot lose more than one. So if the Denver Broncos somehow go 0-3 in September, he is automatically done.
And he
That's
should
it.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really liked the analogy that Zanker Spanker used last week when we were talking specifically about Drew Lock, but I think this applies to Teddy Bridgewater as well, which is his whole omelet analogy, where somebody comes in and they say, I want the best omelet you've ever made, and he messes it up. But then all of a sudden, he's just the same guy comes in, I want the best omelet you've ever made, and he goes, I'm just going to make this as I normally have. And it was. All you need to do is just go out there and play. And it seems like Teddy Bridgewater can do it's just consistency. He just needs to go out there and he doesn't need to throw 400 yards a game. He doesn't need to score 4 touchdowns a game. He just needs to go out there 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
every game.
And that's the thing with me is I don't know, everybody that was team Teddy and anybody trying to be optimistic towards this decision, we all know that Teddy's going to be, if he's healthy, consistent.
Yeah.
I like, there's a lot of comparisons to Trevor Siemian, to those types of decisions. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be much better than Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
He better be.
It's not even that he better be. He will be.
Yeah.
He definitely will be. I mean, he's a better quarterback.
And Siemian too, he was coming off Peyton Manning. And so I think people were expecting him to be some kind of heir or protege to Peyton Manning.
It's a great point. If Teddy Bridgewater was post Peyton Manning, we would have put that expectation on him.
So,
even Kate, we're really quick, Caleb. Broncos country is so fanatical about the team, as the three of us are, that we even put that expectation on Case Keenum.
Yeah.
We tricked our minds into saying Case Keenum
Joe Flacco
was going to be that guy. Well, I didn't let my mind go to Joe Flacco.
I think some people did.
You're right.
They were trying to.
Did.
It's like what they're doing now with Teddy. They tried to hype up, hey, Joe's, he's a veteran and he's proven he's going to be good.
He can do this.
But really Caleb, Mace, between Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, and Joe Flacco, we have the best quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And that's the hilarious part to me, because if we had Teddy Bridgewater 3 years ago, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be buying a number 5 jersey. I'd be like full team Teddy.
Yeah.
Same here.
If this was Teddy Bridgewater 2 years ago, I would have been ecstatic. I would have been thinking that we're going to the Super Bowl.
Coming off that Saints
But
tear.
but since we finally found a quarterback that we drafted and that had raw potential and who has a head on his shoulders and just needs to fix a few things, which, by the way, Drew Lock has handled
so beautifully.
He has handled this incredible. I mean, he is a third-year consummate professional. Well, Teddy Bridgewater, I expect that out of, because Teddy Bridgewater proved that he was a professional 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Drew Lock, he is proving in his third year that he is truly a professional now. He's learned to be, but it's just funny to me that
I saw one tweet that summed up my thoughts, is that I wish one of them was an asshole, so it'd be easier just to root for one over the other. But it's like,
I disagree with that.
Yeah, they're both such likable guys. It's like, you're making it hard for me to choose between the two of you.
And watching Drew's press conference, especially learning that he wasn't starter. I mean, it was just everything that you want to hear from a guy that, because I think all of us in here, I don't know about Colin, I think all of us in here were rooting for Locke and wanted Locke to be our QB.
He was Teddy.
Yeah. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, even Colin could probably agree that it's like at the end of the day, we have a fine QB room, whether it's Teddy, whether it's Drew. I think we are more than okay.
Well, as Zanker Spankers joins the show right now, I can vouch for him because I heard him say it multiple times. He said, I don't care who wins as long as we win, but he was team Teddy to begin with. But I mean, Zanker, right? You said, as long as we're a good team, it doesn't matter who's in for you personally, but you were team Teddy to begin with.
Yeah, I was definitely team Teddy, team veteran more than anything else. But it was Teddy. But whether that was going to be Matthew Stafford. And I had said all along, too, that the history between Peyton and Bridgewater in Minnesota and him bringing in Mike Boone from Minnesota, I mean, all those things just added up to him wanting to bring in Teddy Bridgewater. So I kind of saw it happening once the money finally got right. It happened. And I was more for Teddy as far as over Lock, because for this team, for the defense, I don't think Teddy's a great quarterback. He's not going to the Hall of Fame. If that's breaking news to anybody, I'm sorry. But Teddy Bridgewater is he's the safest option, especially, I don't know if we're going into what we saw last week, but Drew Lock reverted back to some of his past tendencies, it felt like last week.
I
But
completely disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
I disagree with that a lot.
I think
Okay.
Drew Lock played Teddy's game last week,
I
which
think
should have
both-
won him the game.
Quarterbacks
He did in a way, but he also was only looking at one side of the line. He could not recognize the blitz coming. Yeah. He only
actually-
recognized the right side of the line on that.
I
one,
disagree
and
with
he
that
looked-
completely.
Actually,
Chad,
Who did he point out?
So,
Who did he point out? The blitzing
no.
linebacker
Hold
from
on.
the
No,
left?
hold on.
I understand it was a
Colin.
missed block also.
No,
but he
it's
also
not just
only
a,
recognized
it's
the
not
right
just
side.
a missed block. So again, this is where I thank God for Tim Jenkins breakdowns. He's great at this stuff. So he points out that it's a very the blown blocks were a simple 5-on-5 coverage. It's as an offensive line, you know that from the minute you get to the line of scrimmage, each man gets an assignment. The tight end on the time where he got sacked on that play action pass, the tight end was pulling to get the end. Calvin Anderson, for whatever reason, completely whiffed on his assignment. He went to double down on Moody's guy, even though Moody had him crossed, and he let his guy cross his face. That left a free rusher. That's on the left tackle.
But to address what Zanker Spanker said was his progression. Chad Brown on the call live during the game commented multiple times on how he was impressed with Drew Lock going through his reading each side of the field. And he said that in live. He didn't have to look at the film for that. He was doing things that he wasn't doing a year and a half ago. He did that in that game, and his stats were not good, but he wasn't presented with a lot. That backup offensive line forgot how to block for him, and even though they forgot, Drew Lock last season would have seen ghosts. He wasn't seeing ghosts in that game. He read each progression, and he found the check down.
So I have 2 points to follow up on that. So
Make that quick, and then I'll ask my next question.
I will. Okay, so his progressions did not speed up. Yes, he went through them, but they did not go fast enough. You saw the difference between Bridgewater and Locke. Bridgewater knew that read wasn't there, automatically passed it out to the outside. Locke, it took a while. Second, that goes to exactly what I'm going to say. Teddy Bridgewater worked well with the second teamers. And if you're a true leader, you should be able to build up your teammates, not play down to their level.
To an extent, he is correct. But the problem with Teddy going through that, hold on. The problem with Teddy going to that quick option, the problem is he goes there too fast. That's the issue that Tim Jenkins points out on the film breakdown.
But
Teddy,
I would rather have my quarterback go there too fast and get a completion than
but here's the problem.
And fumble the fucking ball.
Hold on.
But he points out that Teddy, but he points out that Teddy will sometimes miss other reads going open down the field because he doesn't see that first point open, and he may have done that immediately.
He may have done that, but he performed well the first game. But my question to you really quickly, Zane, because I want to ask my next question. Teddy did perform with the second team very well the first game.
So
but
did
he
Locke.
did, he didn't working with the second line on the O-line and wide receivers and everybody. He didn't have the pressure that Drew Lock was having. And I know that's game to game. That's a different defense and everything. But that's where my line of saying Drew Lock performed just as equally as well was that Teddy Bridgewater didn't have bum rushes that first game when he was working with his second line O-line. And I'm not trying to discredit saying he's with second stringers, but Drew Lock came in with the second stringers, and those first three plays were rough as fuck to watch.
And that's the one thing to my point, though, is that he knows he's with second stringers. You have to exactly point out, look, this guy's coming from the left, this guy's coming from the right, just like Teddy had done.
Okay, I see.
Like he is pointing to the one side. Yes, there's one main guy blitzing, but
you're
have
saying
to make
before
sure
the
that
ball snapped.
Well, he did. Chad Brown pointed that out. Chad Brown pointed that out.
All right. That he pointed that.
All right,
He did, but the guard just got beat. The guard just got beat. That
let me do a quick
he just got his
go
lunch money
around.
taken.
Let me do a quick go around. I just want a yes or no from each one of you. I'll start with Zanker, Caleb, and then Mason.
Ah, shit.
Do you think Drew Lock will be in this season?
Yes.
Caleb?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Zanker. Oh, and I say yes as well. Zanker, what week do you predict that he comes in?
Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up, and I think it's going to be closer to the second half of the season, to be honest.
And let me also preface this, and this is all
because
wait, let me really quick. This is all a prediction, so that's why I'm adding this into it. What week, and is it due to performance or is it due to injury?
So I will tell you why I think it's the second half of the season, because I do believe Teddy Bridgewater will start out and get some wins underneath his belt with the Broncos in the first few games and will buy himself some good time. But I would look at it as, if you lose to the football team or the Cowboys is in Dallas, but I think if you lose to the Washington football team at the end of October and it doesn't look good, you can understand losing to the Browns or the Steelers, especially, the Steelers at home. That would be more understandable, but I think the football team would be one where if he just slips out of his element, while they do have a great pass rush, at home, that's a game that, they should be able to at least keep close and probably win. But if he looks bad after Washington, that would be probably the time to pull it.
What week do you predict, though?
Well, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
week
7.
9
That's
is
week. Yeah,
Dallas.
that'd be week 9, Dallas. After week 8, it worked out that it was really middle of the season. But
so you want to predict week 9? So, and you're saying performance?
The time I think it's going to be, I think if it's going to be a time, like as far as a guarantee, that would be the time I think it could happen. But it would be right before Broncos Chiefs to get the firepower for Drew Lock in week, 13, 12? Yeah, after week 12, if they're not putting enough points up on the board, Drew Lock going in. And yeah, I guess that would be semi-performance.
So
the time it could happen, though, the first opportunity for Drew Lock to get in would be after Washington if they don't look good in that game.
Caleb, what do you predict? What week, injury or performance?
I've had 2 scenarios in my mind. One, I said if Drew was going to start, I gave him the first 4 or 5 games. And if we're looking at like 0-4, it's if we're looking like 0-4, 1-5, something like that, then make the switch. I am with the same scenario for Teddy. I say after probably Baltimore, if you're sitting at like 1-3 and you get blown out by the Ravens, then at that point I say it's probably time to consider a switch. But the other option is I say put him in probably around week 8 or 9, probably around that Philadelphia game. If you're hovering around like 3-5 or something like that, and the offense just isn't getting it done, then make the switch. That's what I say that's probably more likely. So I'd say week 8, you're hovering around 3-5, right before Philly, they make the switch because it's like offense isn't getting it done. We've lost like 4 of our last 5 games. Time to make a switch.
Mason,
I'll give you short and sweet. They're going to start him after week 13 because he's going to get the shit kicked out of him in Kansas City. So Drew Lock will start not because of injury, but due to performance in week 14 with Detroit.
And he'll have his typical week 14 ball out performance.
Yeah, prove to me you could be there. Speaking of switching, this Brian Greasy's got to come off.
Oh, you had a Brian Greasy jersey?
Fucking A, Johnny.
I didn't know you could find one.
Yeah, it was like
you can find one anywhere.
Caleb, I'm pretty sure he's had that for a little while.
No.
What about you, Connor?
The first 3 weeks, and I predicted this on our Undrafted school show. The first 3 weeks, whether it's Drew or Teddy, I predicted a win. Giants, Jaguars, Jets. I mean, come on now. I mean, our defense alone will keep us in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where Teddy really starts to have his decline, Pittsburgh could beat him up defensively, just having TJ Watt. You go into Las Vegas, and we seem to struggle quite a bit against them in recent years.
What about Baltimore? You have left out the Ravens. We got them after the Jets.
Oh yeah, I guess I kind of left them right there as a
toss-up.
You don't need to really say it. They're gonna hand it to us.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
Yeah.
I don't see anybody physically just dominating us defensively.
Like the Steelers.
Yeah,
But-
like TJ Watt is going to be the one I'm worried about.
And Washington.
Why? Yeah. Why are you
Well,
skipping out Washington?
Hey,
Chase Young.
I haven't even gotten to that point of the season yet. I'm at week 5.
Okay.
Vegas, they're going to give us a hard time. Week 7 and week 8, Washington and Cleveland. That's where you start seeing some problems defensively. Cleveland having Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney.
Antetokounmpo.
Right.
Gumbo.
I think we could see Drew Lock week 9 going against the Cowboys. Realistically, Teddy has such an easy start to the season. Zach Vegas, exactly.
Yeah, true. Like, you could really start either quarterback and win at least 2 of those 3.
Yeah.
Like, as an NFL quarterback, you're getting beat up. So those first 6 weeks, you're getting hit. You're getting, tested.
Yeah.
But when you play Cleveland, when you play Washington, that's some dangerous material right there.
Here's another thing that you have to consider with Teddy. He has never thrown more than 15 touchdowns in an entire season. His best year was his second year, where he had a 14 touchdown to 9 interception ratio, 3,200 yards, and a pretty low YPA. And the issue is he's never shown that he can really elevate above that 15 touchdown ceiling, but interceptions range in that 10 to 12 range.
He has if you take those 5 games from the New Orleans Saints with that talented offense on his side. If you expedite that, if you expedite that out over a season, he's shown that he can do that.
Possibly, but we got to take it as what it was, which was 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which is good. It was 9-2. The issue is, no, hold on.
So Drew Lock has never thrown more than 16 touchdowns. He can never do that either.
No, hold on. I'm just saying with Teddy is that I say if he throws 9 or 10 interceptions, that's fine, but I need at least 20 touchdowns to compensate. You can't have a 15-10 season. I need 20.
All right, Caleb, Mace, Colin. This is another yes or no. This is just my silly little question for the evening.
All right.
Because Teddy's starting, he could start the whole year. I asked that last question just as a hypothetical, just knowing Teddy's injury history. Seems as each one of you, including myself, thinks it's going to be more performance than injury. But does the starting of Teddy Bridgewater confirm in the year of 2022 the Denver Broncos will have Aaron Rodgers?
No.
I think it's hard to go that far. I don't know.
Yes or no, Mason?
No.
Yes or no, Mason?
No.
No.
I think you sell out for Deshaun Watson at that point.
If he's exonerated, that is. I say draft a rookie next year. Like, I'm looking at Carson Strong and Spencer Rattler.
I'm not asking that.
That's not yes or no.
That's
not
looking
yes
at.
or no.
I say no for Aaron Rodgers.
That's still not yes or no.
Leave it at that.
Looking at the draft.
You said no.
Okay.
Zakers, you said no?
I said no.
All right, I agree. I think Aaron Rodgers is a done deal, not coming to Denver. So
no way. Not anymore.
Now, my next question, moving on. New England has been in a very similar situation in terms of a quarterback battle with a tested veteran who is trying to make himself, I guess, still thought of as a formidable starter in the NFL, with a young quarterback coming into the NFL. Now, of course, Mac Jones is a rookie and Drew Lock is a third year, but the rawness of Drew Lock and the situation of him coming in his first year and COVID last year, you could argue that it's similar. Has New England handled the quarterback battle better than Denver has?
I think
I don't hear a lot of controversy coming out of New England about it.
I think they've handled it about the same, because
Why less controversy then?
I think it's just because people have an idea that Cam is probably going to start the season. Like with Denver was a toss up, but with New England, it felt like Cam was probably going to start. Yeah, but now, like going into camp, everyone, including myself, had the idea that Cam would start, but eventually Mac would work his way in. But now, especially with this whole COVID situation and reports that like the Patriots are not happy with Cam, so now there's a chance that Mac Jones can start. But I still expect Cam to start the season. So I really don't have an opinion because I don't think they have a controversy on who's going to play week 1.
I didn't know there was a new report because everything that I had read said there was a team approved visit for him to go.
No, I just heard
that is the report.
Yeah, I don't know what that controversy is. There was some mistake somewhere along the way, but
I'm saying
no, I know. I'm going to Caleb's point that there's controversy with the COVID thing. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any smoke there because it was a team approved visit. I think they've handled it just fine. It's different because you have a former MVP and Super Bowl participant as your quarterback. Well, he's not the same quarterback as he was. You expect that player to be your quarterback going into camp, no matter who's behind you. I mean, look at Brett Favre when Aaron Rodgers came in. I mean, you can look at all these times that anyone has brought another quarterback. Tom Brady always had backup quarterbacks, and yeah, none of them became Tom Brady, but he was always expected to be the starter because he's a veteran. He's been there. So I think they've handled it fine, and Mac Jones is balled out of control. So you can't help but have some questions about who your quarterback is when someone does something like that, and after the year that Cam Newton had last year.
Mace, what say you?
I honestly think there is comparisons between the two. I don't know. I think because Cam had his opportunity last year, I mean, he had a full season, and I just don't think he performed. And I think, like you said, there's raw potential with Mac Jones, and I think there's an opportunity there for him. And from what I've seen, I haven't watched him in a preseason game, but from what I've seen, it sounds as though New England is fairly impressed with him as well. And I don't think that there's a wrong reason for starting him. I mean, if you really feel that confident about him, that's why you drafted him. So
the reason why I asked this question is because after last season, all the talk towards the New England Patriots was that Cam Newton was washed up and that he could not be a starter in the NFL anymore because he had a horrible year last year. I mean, just based off of what we saw, like you can make up for his season statistically and say, actually, he had his highest completion percentage of his career. He had the highest this. I mean, it is true. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I laugh too, but
you can't have that conversation.
You can have it. So, but nobody thinks that Cam Newton is good. Well, I don't want to say nobody. A majority of people think that Cam Newton is not going to be a good starter in the NFL anymore, especially for this New England Patriots team. A lot of people are optimistic about Teddy Bridgewater. Everybody knows Teddy Bridgewater's ceiling. So when you compare the two, and they're two completely different quarterbacks, but in terms of the production that each team is going to get out of them, the New England Patriots are fresh. This is going to be their second year without Tom Brady. They are fresh off of replacing a legendary quarterback. The Broncos have been trying to replace a legendary quarterback since 1999. I mean, shortly with Peyton Manning. So,
it was shortly.
Yeah. Like everybody knew that wasn't the next 15 years.
I exclude Peyton Manning from that because we all know that those 4 years were basically garnered towards him. Well, drafting a quarterback, there's not been a lot of talk out of New England, even with as good as Mac Jones has looked, until Cam Newton had that little mishap, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's saying, oh, well, now Mac Jones has a chance.
Cam Newton gave them an opportunity and Mac Jones more of an opportunity. And the difference between Denver and New England, Mac Jones played himself into the competition. It wasn't decided by the coaches that it was going to be a competition. Mac Jones played his way into that conversation.
So this is my question to all three of you. What can Mac Jones have proven in the past 4 or 5 days of Cam Newton being on this restriction that he didn't prove before?
I think Mac Jones, from what I saw, and I saw him play and I liked what I saw, and this is why I had him going to New England when I made my mock draft. He's a perfect fit for that style of offense. You don't have to be a hero, don't have to throw deep a ton. You can keep it with the short intermediate routes, which does make up for the fact that he isn't the most mobile quarterback. It gets the ball out quick, a lot of RPOs. So I think that's what it is. It's that he's shown that he can be a perfect fit for their offense. And I would not be surprised if he becomes their next franchise guy.
I smile really quickly, Mason. I want to go to you next, but I smile because that's what we all thought. Mac Jones going into the system. If there's one team out of all 32 in the NFL, it would have been the New England Patriots because of that style. So I like what you said. I mean, I agree completely. I just think it's funny that, it's not being more pressured. If Drew Lock was performing to the level, he's been performing to that level. He hasn't not taken himself out of the conversation. He's done the same exact thing Mac Jones has done. And there's a different level of conversation going on in each one. But Mace, what do you think?
I don't know if he's done anything different. For me, from what I've understood so far, is that he's showing up and playing the kind of ball that they drafted him for, which, I mean, that's what you want from a quarterback. And I mean, if everybody else can perform on that team, whether it's the running backs, offensive line, wide receivers, or whatever, as long as you can show up and get the playmakers the ball, I think that's all they want. Whether it's Cam, whether it's Mac, it doesn't fucking matter. And I think it sounds like Mac is really proving his point as to why he should be the guy, but I don't know.
And Mason, I want to go off of that with my answer. Mac doesn't really. Yeah, Belichick needs to prove it, but he needs to show that he has a full understanding of the playbook to Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
That's the guy that he needs to impress and show that he can comprehend exactly what McDaniels wants to do in the system. And if McDaniels wants him at quarterback, he'll be at quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Boys, sure. My main reason of asking this question, let me tie it all together, is because Drew Lock is more of a Cam Newton prototype. Teddy Bridgewater and Mac Jones are more of the same ilk. So you have two different identities in each franchise going about each other in a quarterback battle. Now, the roles are reversed because Cam Newton has seniority in the NFL. So people almost just want to give it to Cam Newton saying, well, maybe let him learn the system, right? Nobody's telling Drew Lock to learn the system. They're just telling him to perform. People are saying Mac Jones coming into because I said this a year ago too. Mac Jones coming into New England, of course he's going to be good. He's that prototype of quarterback. Why aren't we talking about coaching in the NFL going with an identity?
Well, I think so. Colin, you go first.
I just think that Cam Newton.
Let me top it off by asking you this: the identity and the expectation of each franchise. I mean, what's going on with that?
Well, I mean, the identity of the Broncos is more Vic Fangio needs to win games right now, so he needs the safest, best option for himself to secure his job. But with Cam Newton and Drew Lock, Cam and Drew are kind of in the same spot, though, because they should already know the system. Where these two guys were new coming in, that's why they were the leaders in-house to start. And so, yeah, Mac Jones had to come out and prove it, and Drew Lock, had his missteps.
What did Teddy have to prove?
Teddy had to prove that he had to be consistent. Yeah, he had to be a safe enough option not to fuck up the game.
Yeah,
that has nothing to do with the system, though.
For Vic Fangio, his system is saving his ass.
Yeah,
that's all he gives a fuck about. That's his system right now. What can I do to win in September?
And that's a good point. Because
that's what I said last week.
Vic Fangio has nowhere near the security that Belichick does. Belichick, he can afford a losing season this year and maybe even next year. You're the head coach that was a part of a dynasty that brought 6 rings. You get quite a bit of leeway. Not to mention, he's also the GM there. So if he were to ever leave, they would have to complete a whole new search, not just for a head coach, a GM as well, because Belichick does both duties.
Do you think
the identity of the Broncos will be found out next year?
Do you guys
what Peyton does with the head coaching search, if there is one? I mean, there's a lot of questions that will have to be answered next year.
Do you guys think that there's the same expectation towards a quarterback, both knowing what a legendary quarterback is? And do you think that the Patriots just really got lucky in terms of where they got their guy compared to what the Broncos tried to do? Because the Broncos could have gotten lucky with Brian Greasy in the jersey that you formerly had, Zankus Baker, if they handled that situation correctly.
Well, I do think that New England does recognize that being that there's probably never going to be another Tom Brady. Like, there'll be similar play styles, but what he is as a quarterback and how he plays and the style that he wins, it's going to be extremely hard to replicate that. I said, if Mac Jones can even be just like a third of the player that Tom Brady was, New England has another stud at quarterback. That's
but
all that needs to be.
He'll never be accepted there.
Oh, sure about that?
Ooh.
I mean, oh my God.
Let's unpack that.
Dude, try following up Tom Brady. I mean, like, try
Cam
following
can't
up.
do it.
Yeah, Cam can't. Like, it didn't matter who the Broncos brought in until they brought in Peyton freaking Manning to be the quarterback. Nobody was happy.
That's true.
Like seriously, we sat here with Jake Cutler, who brought us to the AFC Championship game against the Steelers, and we're like, well,
that was Plummer.
That was Plummer. Cutler, not Cutler. Plummer. I said Jake, not Jay, at least. But yeah, Plummer brought us to the AFC Championship game, and we're still kind of like, well, we're still kind of looking. Like, yeah, Mac Jones will always live in that shadow, just as many quarterbacks do who have to follow legends. I mean, who are we talking about in Miami ever since Marino?
That's true.
I mean,
I think the only franchise who's ever been able to do that is Favre and Rodgers. That's it.
Which, that's probably next on the docket for Love, is that he's going to have to live not just in the shadow of one Hall of Famer, but in the shadow of two. And if he's bad, then everyone will blame him for why Aaron Rodgers didn't stay to finish his career in Green Bay.
But it doesn't even matter if he's decent or good. It's always going to be a comparison.
Yeah.
And it's always going to hang over him.
Well, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have Favre hanging over him. He was able to.
He did for a few years until he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Caleb.
What are you talking about?
He had Favre hanging over him immediately.
Oh my God!
What are you talking? I mean,
they're showing Favre in Minnesota playing games on a busted up ankle in Green Bay. They're talking about Favre not coming back to Green Bay to have his jersey retired. Like, that hung over him for a while until he got his Super Bowl and finally entrenched himself. And he's, Favre pissed off the fan base a lot too. Tom Brady never pissed off the fan base. John Elway never pissed off the fan base. Peyton Manning never pissed off the fan base. I mean, yeah.
So let's keep it in the AFC East, fellas. This is stemming from one of my own personal opinions that I'll share later, but
Daniel Jones has a better season than Drew Lock.
Well, I'm still sticking to that.
Justin Herbert, baby.
I'm still sticking to that.
Okay.
How, are the Bills really a lock to win the AFC East? That's my first question. Zankus Bankers, you first.
As much of a lock, yeah. I mean, can't predict injuries, but right now, yes.
As of what you know, you predict them to be a lock.
Right now, yes.
So you're not taking it. All right. Well, Mace, you next.
Oh, I was just saying, I agree. As of what I know right now, yes, locks.
Caleb?
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys can expound on this. I don't want to. This isn't a yes or no. I mean, go ahead.
It's hard, especially after the season that Josh Allen had last year. I know that's probably another question you're going to ask is what Josh Allen has in the tank. I think even if he just goes out and throws 30 touchdowns this year and has a 4,000-yard passing season, I think the Bills are in the playoffs, no doubt. And I think the defense and the offense are perfectly. I mean, Stephon Diggs is fantastic. You got Cole Beasley, he's doing his thing. I don't know what it is, but he's doing his thing.
And you have Emmanuel Sanders.
And you got Emmanuel Sanders now. So, I mean, it's I think all of their rooms are fine.
I don't know.
Sanders is wearing one now. He's going to the single digit rule. He's just going to wear one. Yeah. I think
he has the money to buy out.
I think the Bills are a lock because I think even with every team in the AFC East at their best, as they are right now, they can't stack up against Buffalo. Now, I think Josh Allen, I don't know if he'll repeat the performance last year, but I still think he's going to have a great season. And I expect that defense to only get better, especially with Tre'Davious White on the back end. I think I had the Bills winning 14 games this year. I picked them to win the AFC. I think they're definitely
as we look at it, I mean, right now with our talk, whether it's Cam or Mac Jones, you have two rookie quarterbacks starting in your division, and Tua, who hasn't played a full season and is, let's face it, injury prone. You don't know if he's going to be the quarterback in Miami the whole season.
Yeah.
So another thing that sparked this question for me is because I really appreciate the local media, because though they are biased, and you'll go to the Fan and you'll hear one talk. Well, I mean, you can listen to the Fan and hear like the former players talk about Teddy B being the guy, and then you'll go to the non-players pretty much be on full support of Drew Lock. I like going to the local media because they're typically the ones who are fully involved, or if they're doing a podcast like us, we have a pulse of what Denver is, right?
Yeah.
You know, like regardless of each one of our own opinions, we have a pulse of what's going on within the Denver Broncos community. So I did a little digging into Miami Dolphins podcast and like, you know, a lot of the lower level Miami Dolphins kind of shows. And man, the hype around Tua is high. I listened to one podcast, and if I can find it, here it is. It is Miami Sports Music. It's episode 78. And
damn, you listen to 78 episodes of that shit?
You better believe it. A sacrifice for the undrafted.
Good for you.
No, I'm just kidding. But these cats, dude, they were talking about Tua, and one of them, I think, predicted that Tua was going to throw 48 touchdowns. You listen to three of them at the beginning of the podcast. Like, you don't have to listen long for them to say everything that they've heard, everything that they've witnessed within preseason and training camp, that Tua's footwork has excelled. Tua's pocket presence is the best they've seen since Dan Marino.
Wow.
And listen, the four of us, none of us can speak on that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, the four of us have not also predicted that Teddy Bridgewater is going to throw 50 touchdown passes this year.
But guess what?
Yeah.
But Mace, we don't have a prospect like Tua.
No,
that's fair.
And that's where I was going to go, is that the stuff with Tua is tantalizing because you've seen it at Alabama. Yeah. You've seen flashes of it, but it hasn't all come together. So if he has it all together, it should be really damn good.
Yeah.
So, and that's what sparked my question, is that if in year two, Tua, like Josh Allen jumped in year 3, but he didn't have the consistency that Tua has going into year 2. Yeah. Tua has the same stuff that he came into the league with. So they went 10-6 last year through a quarterback by committee. They could be even better. If the Bills just by chance lose a couple of games by freak, I don't know, that can make all the difference if Miami progresses from that 10-6. And if the Patriots play as well as a lot of New England, because I did the same type of digging within the New England community, there's a lot of talk around maybe questions on the defense, but you have 3 teams that are going to be competing for the number 1, and you're really depending on Josh Allen playing as well as his MVP year, which I'm not ruling out of the question, but he played incredibly well. And to expect that 2 years in a row from a guy who's only done it once, it's hard to ask that.
Fair.
All
right. Well, Jets is still trash.
Well, I'm going to say this for the Dolphins real quick. for the record, I think that guy saying 48 touchdowns or
40.
I think I know where he's getting that is that in Dan Marino's second year in 1984, he threw for 48 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, and he won an MVP and took the Dolphins to the Super Bowl. Now, they got blown out in that game, but he took them there.
Yeah,
so I guess that's what he's hoping for from Tua. He's hoping for another Marino.
They're also saying that Tua is the best prospect since Dan Marino. Like
if for the Dolphins, probably. I mean, they've had Chad Henne, Chad Pennington, Jay Cutler.
I was about to say, from their fan perspective, and the way they were talking about the Dolphins is the way that the four of us talk about the Broncos. The most excited that those individuals, not the fan base, but those individuals had been for a Dolphins season was 2009 or whatever the year was with Chad Pennington.
Yeah.
That was literally their last excitement. They've had worse quarterback history than the Broncos. So Zakers, what were you going to say?
One real quick thing. I just looked up the Bills record from last year. I know it's 13-3. Besides their losses, they only had 2 games that they lost within 3 points, and there was only one, or that they won. Excuse me, by less, or that they only won by 3 or less. So all the other games were 7 or more, basically blowout games. So that would mean that offense has to take a huge step back, and one of those losses was to Miami in Miami, but or no, excuse me, they beat Miami. They beat Miami at Miami by 3. So Miami has played them tough, but their losses last year, they had 2 blowouts, kind of blowouts, I guess. But when they won big in almost every game.
It doesn't indicate that they'll have any sort of regression.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a very large regression for them to lose more games and to lose that division. It's going to have to take Josh Allen falling flat on his face and being shit.
Okay. So the next thing I wanted to get into, and I'll probably ignore it for now. I wanted to know, is the AFC South as bad as we think? But I don't even think that's really a topic right now.
Well, I can tell you for sure.
One word, yes.
Well, for one thing, I can say this, and I tweeted this out. I know it's only preseason, but I am losing less and less faith in Urban Meyer by the day.
Yeah.
And then I heard, there's a rumor that apparently Jags players are not thrilled with his style of coaching. And now that Travis Etienne's out for the year, they plan to use Laviska Shenault as the H-back on third downs because that's how Colorado tried to utilize him. I remember, I'm a Colorado fan, so we tried to do that with him. The issue is we use him on jet sweeps and reverses because he's got a lot of speed. We never just gave him the ball and let him go up the middle, which is what H-backs do on third down. So
that's your Jacksonville Jaguars minute with Caleb Malden.
All right, yeah,
I don't get that.
Let's go on. I don't really want to talk about this AFC South anymore. I put it on the rundown, but
I think Indy and
all right, let's keep talking about them.
No. I just want to. I think
I'm
Indy and fucking Tennessee. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
My original point of asking that is that I think Indy's going to be trash. Jacksonville's got a rookie quarterback, though he's great. They're not going to be great.
No.
They have a terrible.
They
have a terrible roster. Houston's, of course, going to be terrible. In Tennessee, for the past 2 years, and not including this year, I didn't know that they were going to be able to hold this up, and I don't think they will be able to hold it up. So they could have a complete demise this year, and that could be the NFC East of the AFC. So
I get that.
That's why I asked that. But let me go on to bigger and better questions.
I like it.
A wide receiving core. Okay. How important is it to a good team, a championship contending team, in each of your perspective? Zanker Spankers, you go first. How important is a good wide receiving core? I get that you need a good quarterback, but don't talk about quarterbacks. I want to know how important truly is a wide receiving core.
I mean, just wide receivers. It's a piece of the puzzle, but honestly, I would have to throw in the tight ends with it too, which isn't the wide receivers because
I'm just talking wide receivers.
I mean, it's not the number one be all end all to make a championship team.
You don't think it's that important?
No, because I mean, if a great quarterback can make average wide receivers look way better and deal with it.
Okay.
I totally everything that Zanker Spanker just said, totally agree. I think honestly, Devontae Adams, like I don't think if he has Jordan Love at quarterback, he's not that good this year. I just really truly I don't think that wide receivers are really that like super important. They're the divas of the team anyway. So I don't like them.
Caleb?
I think wide receiving cores, and I do agree with Colin. I don't think they should be the number one priority, but in today's NFL that is prioritized by passing, it's important to, in my opinion, have an elite wide receiver, a good wide receiver to complement him, and then you can have a bunch of average or decent so receivers around. Like I said, kind of like what the Steelers had for years. You had Antonio Brown, then you had like Martavis Bryant or Juju Smith-Schuster, and then a bunch of average guys around him. But that was fine. Now, if you have Juju Smith as your one, and then you have Deontay Johnson or James Washington as the two, now you got a problem.
And with that, Caleb, the one thing is like one really good wide receiver that a quarterback can trust will help to make a quarterback look better too. But as a core as a whole, it shouldn't make or break your team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just need one elite one. Just need one elite wideout.
All right, I get a sense about all three. The three of you don't prioritize it in that manner. So, and I haven't either. I'll put in my input right there. I'll make it real quick. I haven't either. I thought maybe one great wide receiver, and then you just add a nice complementary core. But complementary doesn't necessarily make you the best wide receiving core in the NFL, right? I would say one great and then a mid-tier core. So I think that all four of us agree on that. Now, yes or no on the next one, because I don't want to focus on it too much. Realistically, if Dak Prescott is healthy, just yes or no, take away your Dallas hate, whatever. Is Dallas realistically with Dak Prescott healthy, fully healthy, are they a Super Bowl contender?
No.
Super Bowl, no. Playoff, yes.
Playoff, but if they get to the playoffs, that makes them a Super Bowl contender.
No,
well,
it's not.
Yes, if you make the playoffs, you are a Super Bowl contender.
Well, it's like
twist it however you want. The 7-8 Seahawks or 7-9 Seahawks were not a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, he's got a
look at the New York Giants with Eli Manning.
At some point, there's a difference.
Were those great teams?
There's a difference between playoff teams and contenders.
Would you have put Eli Manning's New York Giants as a Super Bowl contender before the year that they won the Super Bowl?
Oh, probably not.
No, definitely not.
No, because they were in the same division as New England.
Right. What? The New York
not
Giants.
Not same division. They were playing New England in the East with that big. Yeah, go ahead.
Even before the season, the New York Giants with Eli Manning were never considered a Super Bowl threat, but they made it to the playoffs. They played playoff football, and they won the Super Bowl.
But what do the Giants have that the Cowboys don't? They had a good head coach and a good defense.
Caleb.
Cowboys do not.
Caleb, that's not my point. My point is,
if we're talking about the Cowboys here,
no, if you make the playoffs, you are a Super Bowl contender. Now, if you think the Cowboys will make the playoffs, then you believe that they have some sort of contention for the Super Bowl.
Yes, they have a 0.05% chance at the Super Bowl, whatever you want me to put on it. Yes, they have a chance, but they are a playoff contender.
They are a playoff team. We've seen crazier things happen.
No, contender. They still have to beat Washington.
Yeah, I had Washington winning the East this year at 7-10. I think the East is still a dumpster fire this year. I had the Cowboys going 5-12.
I have Washington winning the division as well. I don't even have Dallas making the playoffs, so I don't think they're a contender. That's why I phrase it this way. Any playoff team is a Super Bowl contender because you have made it past a certain round. Mace, yes or no on the Cowboys?
Love Dak, hate Dallas, but no.
Okay. Now, who are your guys' top three that you would say? It would probably be Buffalo, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay, right?
Super Bowl favorites?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me it goes Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Kansas City. That's how it goes for me. No, Buffalo, Green Bay, Tampa Bay. Those are my 3 picks.
No, I think I've got to go chalk with it.
Buffalo, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, no Kansas City.
Kansas City's tied with Tampa Bay, but it's just I don't know. Like I got Buffalo and Green Bay was my Super Bowl pick.
I'm just making sure that you have Kansas City in there.
They're in my top. They're in there, but
Caleb, I'm not talking about winning the Super Bowl. I'm just talking about teams that are like real contenders for it.
Well, I could have 5 thrown in there, but yeah, there you.
That's what I'm asking.
If we're limited to 3,
I'm not limiting it to anything. I'm saying, what are your? Who do you think is contending for the Super Bowl?
Okay, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, Kansas City. I'll throw Cleveland in there, and L.A. The Rams.
Oh, okay.
God,
I thought you were talking Chargers. I was like,
no. I actually like the Rams a lot.
Give me some of what he's having.
All right, Caleb. Zankers, who are your contenders for Super Bowl?
I mean, those 3 are in there. Then it's a top 6 because you have the Buffalo, KC, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Baltimore, and Cleveland.
Oh, you're throwing Baltimore in there.
They could be scary in the playoffs with that rushing attack.
I think if I would throw Baltimore.
Wait, hold on, Caleb. We gotta go to Mason.
We gotta
go to Mason.
So it's those 3: Tampa Bay, Buffalo, KC. I also agree. I think you got to add in Green Bay, and I'm throwing a little sleeper in there. I think New Orleans is still just as good.
Holy shit!
Wow.
All right, no, but that's okay. That's all right.
It doesn't matter if you can throw TD 50-yard dimes like Jameis Winston can. Who cares if the other team catches it sometimes?
So
Mace,
is that with them naming Jameis the starter? Is that them naming Jameis the starter?
No, hey, hold up.
I mean, yes, but it's just whoever's at quarterback. I think they're fine.
But talking about wide receivers, 3 of the teams that you guys named, Caleb, you included the Rams.
Yes.
Pro Football Focus, I know I feel the way about them, but I would agree with this list. 3 of the top 4 wide receiving corps, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, and Buffalo. Los Angeles Rams are number 9, even with Matthew Stafford as the quarterback. Now, the best Super Bowl contending teams are within the top 10. You can argue Green Bay, sure, which they put as number 14 or number 15. The Cleveland Browns, Zanker, were 14. The Browns are the most
they're talking about.
You would put them in the top 10, right?
Oh yeah.
I'd say the Browns have a top 3 receiving core. You kidding me?
No. I thought you were talking about chances for
the wide receiver core.
No. They don't have a top because beyond Jarvis Landry, if Odell Beckham, we already talked about Odell Beckham and his
their wideouts,
what he does to the team, but
the wideouts are perfectly decent. They're perfectly fine.
They're good, but they're not a top wide receiver core.
The 3 most the running backs. The 3 consensus wide receiving cores. Even if they didn't have a top level quarterback that the 3 have, you'd still have a great wide receiving core, and those are the primary Super Bowl contenders. No matter who you ask, I don't care if you throw in Green Bay, I don't care if you throw in Cleveland, Baltimore, whoever, the 3 that everybody has on their list have the top 4 wide receiving core.
Okay, I know Antonio Brown was added to the mix, but how good were the Tampa Bay Bucks when they just had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? What was their record?
They were
excellent.
With Jameis Winston, what was their record? How good were they? Were they Super Bowl contenders?
7-9 was their best. 7-9 was their best.
No, Zakers. A wide receiving core is primarily dominated by a quarterback giving you the ball. So the quarterback can screw that up as much.
So that brings me to my next point. Why
they were 7-9? They were 7-9 because of that good receiving core and the team that they had around a bad quarterback.
Yeah, and so that brings me to the point is why is that receiving core so good right now and ranked so high? Also because they have Tom Brady throwing them the fucking ball. Also because Patrick Mahomes is throwing them the ball.
That point is going to
Josh Allen is throwing.
Wait, hold on, Caleb. We have to move past that because we got 4 minutes left. But Zankers, your point is literally saying what we're saying. They had a bad team that was boosted by a wide receiving core. They upgraded quarterback, and that's why I left quarterback out. And all of a sudden, that wide receiving core was appreciated the way it should be.
Yeah.
So, but let me say this. I want a hot take from each one of you.
Okay.
Bold opinion heading into the season. We don't have to argue it. We can settle it next week.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, you're talking next week, right?
Yeah, I'm driving next week.
We can talk about it next week. We can talk about it off air. We can talk about it 3 weeks from now. I just want concise, bold statement. I'll start. I believe that the Arizona Cardinals will win the NFC West, and they will be the 3rd seed in the NFC.
Okay.
Zankers Spankers.
The Denver Broncos still lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 2.
That's fair.
Okay.
I would actually like to see that happen. I'm not gonna lie.
It would be kind of funny.
This motherfucker said that months ago, so I know he's really about that opinion.
It's true. Hey, 11 a.m. games on the East Coast in Florida. Not good for the Denver Broncos.
Caleb, you next.
This is straight for my predictions. I have the Browns going 13-4 this year. Not enough to win the AFC North. I have the Ravens going 15-2.
Jesus Christ, what?
Their schedule is easy peasy, baby.
Their schedule is pretty easy this year.
Caleb, I would love to make a bet with you on that. But
15-2, baby. I'm calling
Mason,
it.
you next. I'll text you about that, Caleb. Mason, you next.
All right.
New Orleans Saints win the NFC South, even with that Tampa Bay. Exactly.
Oh shit. Okay. I see you, Stuart.
Let's go.
I would love to make a bet with you on that one as well.
Hey, listen, after hearing you guys think I'm crazy about the Saints being good this year, I'm all in on the Saints now.
Wait, before we end the podcast, Mason, I got one question for you, and this is solely for Mason, and then Caleb, I'll actually ask you too.
Okay.
Zaker Spankers, I think you and me are on the same page on this one because I didn't know going in. Mason, no looking it up. Outside of Michael Thomas, name me one wide receiver on the New Orleans Saints.
Ted Ginn Jr.
Nope.
He retired.
I know he retired. I don't fucking know.
Caleb, do you have anybody?
Marquez Callaway.
The one who caught 2 TDs last week.
He caught the deep bomb from Jameis.
All right. A lot of people
watched SportsCenter.
A lot of people.
I was watching the game while I was working out. I saw the game at the gym. Come on.
But Marquez Callaway will not have any sort of. I don't even want to say. I don't want to say immediate. You say he will.
I say he will. I mean, Michael Thomas he wants out. He probably gonna get. He wants out. So
he's also coming back from the injury, right?
He might be Jameis Winston's guy, homie. Like, I'm just letting you know.
Well,
that might be his guy.
But
just because he catches 60, is that an impact?
Sure.
60? I mean, without Michael Thomas, he could get
is being a default
80s to 90s.
Being a default receiver doesn't make you an impactful receiver, correct?
Fair.
For that offense, it kind of does. Besides, I mean, Kamara is the only exception.
All right, Zake, are you so diplomatic tonight?
What? I'm diplomatic. Bullshit. For that offense, if he was in the Denver Broncos offense, no, it wouldn't make him mad. Because that's the New Orleans Saints offense.
If Marquez Callaway was on the Denver Broncos, he wouldn't even be the 6th option.
Yep.
So that's why. All right, but boys, it's been a pleasure. This week is episode 1.
Hey, is it
starting fresh?
Well, yeah, we're starting fresh.
You know what? That'll be the title. Starting.
We got
fresh.
the new YouTube page. We got the new Instagram page. We're gonna have the new Twitter page. We're gonna have the whole new reboot.
The whole 9 yards.
Not a rebrand, a reboot.
Let's go.
So there we go, boys. Colin the Prophet Zankers, Zanker Spankers, as I like to call them. Caleb Malden, Mason Stewart, me, Connor Sheehan. Everybody, thank you for watching. We will see you next week when Caleb Malden will be the driver.
Woo!
That man.
I got something
Let's
for
go.
y'all. I got something ready for y'all. You're going to like it.
All right, and we'll edit this part out, but Caleb, just stop recording.
Okay.